ஏதோ வரும். இருக்கக்கூடாது. நீங்க you going out, have that. You can just wander, you can do whatever you want, but not in preparation. You மெட்டீரியல் எடுக்குறீங்கன்னா, இதுலருந்து நான் என்ன இன்னைக்கு லேர்ன் பண்ண போறேன்? Clear expectation, particularly during the preparation. இது பிரச்சனை இல்ல நாட். Now also we can change it, right? It's simply like, oh, என்ன எதிர்பார்க்கலாம்? எனக்கு என்ன வேணும்? Have the clarity. Okay. Okay. Let's continue. Ethics and human interface. Okay. I try to do a simple analysis. This is not, in fact, too deeper analysis. A simple analysis of what this each word stands for. Do dictionary meaning at least, and then try to internalize it and see how it sets the tone. இந்த இதுக்கு இது எப்படி ரிலேட் ஆகுதுன்னு பண்ணுங்க. Okay, human interface. What is the essence of that? What are the determinants and consequences? First, to go through the syllabus like this for every one of the 7 chapters. There are 7 units. I'm sorry, there are 7 units in the ethics syllabus. Human values, lessons from the lives and teachings of great leaders, reformers, and administrators. Role of family, society, and educational institutions in inculcating values. Syllabus goes like that. Now, I've taken some 2 questions from this particular area. So remember, when ethics question is coming, they don't ask you, this is a question from unit 1. This is a question from unit 2. அப்படி கேட்க மாட்டாங்க. நாம தான் நம்ம ப்ரிப்பரேஷன் பண்ணணும். ஓ, இதுதான் syllabus. One question. Discuss Mahatma Gandhi's concept of 7 sins. There are 7 sins Gandhi said. Wealth without work is 7 சொல்றாங்க. One example, wealth without work, politics without principles, கொள்கை இல்லா அரசியல் அப்படின்னு ஒரு 7 விஷயத்தை அவர் சொல்றாரு. ஓகே, காமர்ஸ் வித்தவுட் எத்திக்ஸ் ஆர் பிசினஸ் வித்தவுட் எத்திக்ஸ், இப்படி 7 விஷயத்தை சொல்றாரு. 7 டெட்லி சின்ஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க. அப்போ இது எங்க கனெக்ட் பண்ணலாம்? ஓ, அப்போ இந்த இடத்துல இருந்து questions can be asked from this perspective. In fact, this particular area of the syllabus is connected to the, I think, unit 4. Thinkers from India and the world. That is almost the same. அப்போ இதுக்கு தனியா பண்ண வேணாம், அதுக்கு தனியா பண்ண வேணாம், இட்ஸ் சேம் ப்ரிப்பரேஷன். இதெல்லாம் உங்களுக்கு எப்போ வரும்னா, only when you go through the syllabus in detail. I will say this very simple thing. You have to read the syllabus as a material. நம்ம மெட்டீரியல் படிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி சிலபஸை மெட்டீரியலா படிக்கணும். You need to understand it deeper. Second question. One of the tests of integrity is complete refusal to be compromised. Explain with a reference to real life example. Connect to this topic. But remember, in the question எப்படி கேட்டிருக்காங்க, see how they approached this area of this question. So, one of the tests of integrity is complete refusal to be compromised. So, they are asking from personal perspective, your personal ethics. But you already see ethics in private and public relation, right? This is about personal ethics. So, there can be a question, இப்போ இப்படி இருக்குன்னா, அப்போ there can be a question on public ethics also. There can be a question on social ethics also. உங்களுக்கு எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் ஓ, கேள்வி இந்த இடத்துல இருந்து இப்படி கேட்கறாங்க அப்படின்னும் பொழுது your preparation can be more fine tuned. நம்ம பொதுவா என்ன பண்ணோம்னா, எத்திக்ஸ் பார்க்குறோம், மெட்டீரியல் பிடிஎஃப் எடுக்கிறோம், ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல இருந்து கடைசி வரைக்கும் படிக்கிறோம். As a factor you go through that, but not with understanding. இது எதுக்கு படிக்கிறீங்க? அதான் I told earlier, you need to have an expectation before you read the material. இதுல இருந்து நான் என்ன படிக்கிறேன், எதுக்காக படிக்கிறேன்? So you don't have to read every material from the beginning to the end. So that is why I will strongly say, what is essence? Human interactions. How these human interactions are determined. And once it is determined, you act on it. But when you act on it, there will be consequences. What are the consequences? Both positive as well as negative consequences. And when you do that, the ethics can have multiple dimensions. Abdi build our syllabus will build on each other. It's like a foundations. First floor, second floor, it goes like that. Then ethics in private and public relationship. And this ethics, how people have taught. How do they say that? The happiness of the king lies in the happiness of the subjects. இது என்ன? Ethics in private public relationship. This is actually a quote that will add value to this one, ethics in private and public relationship. நீங்க படிக்கிற மெட்டீரியல எந்த கான்டெக்ஸ்டோட கனெக்ட் பண்ண முடியுமோ அத பண்ணணும். அப்ப நீங்க என்ன பண்ணணும்னா, யூ ஹேவ் டு டேக் நோட்ஸ். First, you have to take a note from the syllabus. Okay, Unit 1, essence, what it means from your understanding. Ethics, what it means, what it constitutes. I will say two important questions. Now, when you read ethics, I will tell you two important questions. Ask these questions continuously. Whatever that you do for preparation, that will enhance it. Ask always a question: why and how. Why? ஏன் இந்த ethics? Ethics in private and public சொல்றாங்களா? எதுக்கு இத பண்ணணும்? Why we need to differentiate it? And how can we differentiate it? Always ask this question: why and how for every topic. And jot down your points. உங்களுக்கு என்ன தோணுதோ அதை எழுதுங்க. இதுக்கு ரெஃபர் பண்ண வேண்டிய அவசியம் கிடையாது. You don't have to refer. This is only to bring a clarity in your reading. Do this for 7 chapters. This is what I will say preliminary homework. நீங்க மெட்டீரியல் படிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி இதை நீங்க பண்ணணும். ஓ, எத்திக்ஸ்ல இதெல்லாம் சொல்றாங்க, ஏன் சொல்றாங்க, அது எப்படி செய்யணும், why and how. 2 questions, ask this. Jot down your own notes. நீங்க மெட்டீரியலுக்குலாம் நோட்ஸ் எடுக்க வேண்டாம், because nowadays material already is concise. point bulletin தந்துட்டாங்க. You don't have to do that, but do this. So what I've done is, I've done the same thing for 7 units. The next is attitude. Now, we already began our discussion with what attitude means. Attitude means your psychological evaluation of a particular experience. நீங்க வெளியில நடக்கிறத எப்படி பாக்குறீங்க, your evaluation, your internal evaluation, your internal evaluation of a particular situation. But how do you evaluate? This can be dependent on many things. For example, if you are a person who came from a poor background, you will have a soft corner for those who come from a similar background. நிறைய பேர் சொல்லுவாங்க, நான் கஷ்டப்பட்ட மாதிரி நான் நிறைய பேருக்கு ஹெல்ப் பண்ண போறேன். That is their attitude. If another person comes from no, their upbringing, their past experiences has a deeper impact on their attitude. இப்போ ஏதோ ஒரு தனியா போகும்பொழுது, if it's a dark alley and somebody has ambushed you and stolen something, next time dark பார்த்தால் you have an attitude, an evaluation, oh, that is not safe. That darkness means danger. இதுதான் attitude. Your evaluation of a particular situation, it may be a person also. Attitude means how you evaluate, how you see things. Internally, how you see things, that is attitude. This attitude is determined by many things. Your past life. Your past life. Your schooling. Your education. Your education. Your life experiences. Your upbringing, your life experiences. Your conditioning. Conditioning may be unconscious and conscious. ஒரு கண்டிஷனிங் சொல்லுவாங்க, இட்ஸ் கால்ட் as Pavlov conditioning. Pavlov is actually a biologist who worked on dogs. It's called as Pavlov conditioning. Pavlov conditioning என்னன்னா, initially he had a dog. Right at the 12 o'clock, I'm saying, given, I'm not specific to that fact, I'm giving you an overview of it. Right at the 12 o'clock, he ring a bell, he brought a food for it, a tasty food. He did it for more number of times, 7, 8 times he did it. Time, a signal, a particular signal, sound, and then the food. The dog is used to that. Next day, he didn't bring any food. The moment 12 o'clock he rang the bell, the dog started salivating. அப்படியே எச்சில் ஊறுது அவருக்கு. This is called a big, because the dog has been conditioned. How much you have been conditioned? You all have been conditioned. I have been conditioned to certain things. ஒரு விஷயம் திரும்ப திரும்ப நடக்கும் பொழுது, you get used to that and you learn certain things and you behave in a certain way. And the behaving in a certain way தான் attitude, your outlook. அப்போ கொஸ்டின் என்ன கேக்குறாங்கன்னா, so what is this conditioning? என்னென்ன கண்டிஷனிங் உங்களுக்கு ஆயிருக்கு? They will evaluate it. The question will try to evaluate it. Case studies will evaluate it. The case studies are particularly designed to test your attitude. Particularly case studies. It shows your attitude. Communist tendency இருக்கா? There are some people who always write extreme left views or sometimes centrist. Centrist என்னன்னா ஆத்துல ஒரு கால், சேத்துல ஒரு கால். அதுவும் இல்ல, இதுவும் இல்ல. Safe strategy வாங்க. Because they would have gone through something which playing safe is safe for them. So case study நீங்க எப்படி எழுதுறீங்கன்னு பார்த்தாலே ஓரளவு ஆட்டிட்யூட சொல்லுவீங்க. இட்ஸ் நாட் a மேஜிக் மா. நீங்க கூட கொஞ்சம் டீப்பா அத படிச்சீங்கன்னா, ஒருத்தவங்களோட ஆன்ஸர பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, அவங்களோட ஆட்டிட்யூட் என்னன்னு உங்களுக்கு புரிய வரும். How much they are friendly toward the weaker sections, how they view the vulnerable sections. So attitude is just that. They say content, structure and function. Its influence and relation with thought and behavior. இதுல behavior புதுசா வருது. Remember, attitude is a starting point and it ends with a particular behavior. Like the salesperson I told you, அவரோட attitude வச்சு தான் the particular behavior is determined. How he treats the customer. So attitude leads to a particular behavior, isn't it? இந்த கனெக்ஷன் நீங்க புரிஞ்சுக்கணும் சிலபஸ்ல. You need to do this basic understanding first. So attitude is your evaluation based on your past experiences, and this leads to a particular behavior, a particular act, a particular action. Now the next question is, can attitudes be taught? Attitudes சொல்லி தர முடியுமா? பட் இதை விட மோஸ்ட் டிஃபிகல்ட் கொஸ்டின், ஆட்டிடியூட்ஸை கத்துக்க முடியுமா? சொல்லித்தர முடியுமான்றது from a teacher's perspective. கத்துக்க முடியுமான்றது from the learner's perspective. From the learner's perspective, can you understand what has been said? So can attitudes be taught? இப்போ இது கேக்குதா? உடனே நான் சொன்ன அதே கொஸ்டின், the two questions I told you, keep repeating it, why and how. Why attitudes has to be taught? Because everyone is conditioned. Everybody is conditioned in their own way. And therefore, there are certain obligations on the public servant to meet the demands of the conduct rules. So we are all gray areas. We are not entirely black, entirely white. We always stay in the gray. But how to make it more ethical? Attitude has to be taught. But if it is taught, why it has to be taught? And how it has to be taught? Once again, the same question. Repeat the question while going through the syllabus. Then moral attitudes, which are kind of universal. There are certain political attitudes like equity, liberty, transparency. There are moral attitudes like honesty, integrity. And social influence and persuasion. Social influence, how the external modalities can affect your attitudes. Social influence and persuasion. In fact, the religion is an important example of a social influence. Religions, also called as acculturation. Acculturation means there are certain cultural values that also defines our attitudes. There are certain cultural values that defines our attitudes. So thinkers, philosophers, religion, the cultural values, they all shape, define, and also influence our attitudes. It influences our attitudes. Persuasion na enna? Persuasion na, it is an attempt to change. அப்படியே தாஜா பண்ணி மாத்த முடியுமா? See, persuasion means an attempt to change. Okay. Now, once again, two questions from this particular area. A positive attitude is considered to be an essential characteristic of a civil servant. A positive attitude, negative attitude irukka? So, positive attitude na enna? A positive evaluation of a situation. No matter whether you are pressured by the minister or you have been extremely pressured by your senior bureaucrat, how you view that situation? Do you have a positive mind? Are you optimistic or cynicist? Cynicist means those who are pessimistic. Are you optimistic or cynicist? சொல்றாங்க. A positive attitude is considered to be an essential characteristic of a civil servant who is often required to function under extreme stress. அப்ப என்னன்னா கொஸ்டின்லயே சொல்றாங்க, you are going to face negative situations. You cannot change the situation, but how you change, how you look at it. They asking, what contributes அப்படின்னு கேக்குறாங்க. What contributes? In fact, ஒவ்வொரு விஷயமும் வரும். What is the source of the attitudes? How you learn the attitudes? How the social influences can shape your attitudes. That is the answer for this. But இது எல்லாமே நம்மளுக்கு தெரியும். ஆனா எழுதணும்னு சொன்னா அது வராது. இதுக்கு காரணம் என்னன்னா, I will say there is a huge gap between the words and the meaning it conveys. Please listen. There is a huge gap between the words and the meaning it conveys. நீங்க வேர்டா அத பாக்குறீங்க, attitude வேர்டா பாக்குறீங்க. அந்த வேர்டுனுடைய deeper meaning என்ன? You have to sit. You have to at least sit for 2-3 minutes. ஓ attitudeனா என்ன? Talk to yourself. Talk to yourself. Then you try to read the material. Now I'm telling you, you will have a much better clarity in ethics. You are not going to score well by reading all the philosophers or Stanford philosophy. Stanford philosophy, அப்படின்னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, it is a huge website with all the ethical philosophies. You can find it in internet. But it's not going to be useful unless you have an understanding of what attitude simply means. So you have to do this for all the 7 chapters, all the 7 units. Attitude and foundational values of civil service. Now they are asking the one aptitude. First, they are asking human interface. Second, human interface na how you interact with the other. But how you interact with the other depends upon how you look at them. Second chapter, see how it builds upon the other. Your attitude defines your interaction, right? Attitude. Sorry, I know my attitude. It might be positive sometimes, it might be negative sometimes, it is mixed sometimes. I don't have clarity. Good, no problem. But are you aware of these deficiencies? Because the moment the light is shown, darkness is thrown out. இந்த சப்ஜெக்ட் படிக்கிறது ஒரு வகையில என்னன்னா is to bring what is unconscious to bring light into that, so that you are see it is not good enough to be unconsciously ethical. புரியுதா? unconsciously ethical na your ethics is reactive in nature. Your ethics is reactive in nature. It is unconscious ethics ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. unconsciousனா என்னன்னா உங்களுக்கே தெரியாம நீங்க நல்லவனா இருக்கிறது, உங்களுக்கே தெரியாம கெட்டவனா இருக்கிறது. No, the subject wants to make a conscious ethical decisions. Can you be consciously ethical? You can become. This transformation from unconscious ethical behavior to a conscious ethical behavior comes simply by becoming aware of these principles. ஓ இப்படி இருக்கா? ஓ நம்ம ஒருத்தவங்களை பார்க்குற விதம், இப்போ நான் I'm going there, I have some let's say bitter experiences. ஒரு நிமிஷம் பார்த்த உடனே I judge them. No matter like you cannot judge the book by its cover னு சொல்லுவாங்க. But most often we do that. இங்க பண்ணாதீங்கன்றாங்க. That's what attitude is. Now can this be changed? Some people are born positive, some people are born negative, right? But can it be changed? Aptitude na என்னன்னா next level. Okay, You understood? Yes. Aptitude என்ன? Your ability to learn. First attitude பத்தி நீங்க தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்க. Oh, this is attitude. Attitude எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் கத்துக்கிறீங்க? You come to know, oh, I'm learning attitude from this discussion. You're learning attitude from your personal interactions, your professional interactions, your social interactions. Are you aware that your attitude is shaped when you watch social media? Social media பேரே சொல்றாங்க social in fact before here they were called as media person சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. இப்போ என்ன தெரியுமா சொல்றாங்க? What they call themselves? Influencers. But are you aware that your attitude is influenced by these social media? Of course it is. இப்போ ஒரு கொஸ்டின் வரலாமா? சோஷியல் மீடியால இருந்து how this attitude can be influenced? புரியுதா உங்களுக்கு? So this is how you need to look at the syllabus. இது ரொம்ப நேரம் ஆகாதுங்க. See, I believe in one thing. If your intention is strong, your response will be natural. நம்ம என்ன பண்றோம்னா, நீங்க வொர்க் பண்றீங்க. I've seen students trying hard and working hard. என்ன மிஸ் ஆகுதுன்னா, அந்த முன்னாடி இருக்கிற அந்த இன்டென்ஷன் உங்களுக்கு கிளியரா இல்ல. நான் எதுக்காக இத பண்றேன்? அப்படின்ற இன்டென்ஷன் கிளியரா இருந்ததுன்னா, if you are there clear, naturally what you do will be efficient. அதுதான் நம்ம பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறோம். ஏதோ மெட்டீரியல் டவுன்லோட் பண்ணி ஏதோ படிக்கிறோம். எதுக்கு படிக்கிறோம்? என்ன கோரிலேஷன்க்காக படிக்கிறோம் அது பண்றது கிடையாது. We don't do that. That is the biggest mistake that you guys do, particularly in ethics. So, aptitude simply means நீங்க ரொம்ப எத்திக்கல் ஜார்கன்லாம் வேணாம். நான் ஏற்கனவே சொல்றேன். உங்க லோக்கல் லாங்குவேஜ்ல ஆப்டிடியூட்னா என்ன? கத்துக்க முடியுமா? எபிலிட்டி டு லேர்ன் எந்த அளவுக்கு நீங்க கத்துக்க முடியும்? ஆட்டிடியூட் நாம தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். ஓ திஸ் இஸ் ஹவ் ஐ பிஹேவ் இன் திஸ் டிஸ்டன்ஸ். இத மாத்தணும்னா நீங்க மாறுவீங்களா? See, most often civil services examination now can extend up to 37 years. இல்லையா? But can this attitude be changed when you're already in your middle age group? Why there is always reforms being suggested to recruit young people for easily molded, which means their aptitude is better. நீங்க வருஷம் ஆக 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 என்ன ஆயிடுது? உங்க ஆட்டிடியூட் என்ன ஆயிடுது? இட் இஸ் பிகம் ஸ்ட்ரெங்தன்ட் அண்ட் மோர் கிறிஸ்டலைஸ்ட். அத உடைக்கிறது கஷ்டம். அதனால தான் ரெக்ரூட்டிங் யங் பீப்புள் இஸ் ஆஃபன் அ குட் சாய்ஸ் பிகாஸ் தே கேன் லேர்ன் பெட்டர். பட் ஐ பிலீவ் ஏஜ் டசன்ட் மேட்டர் ஹியர். யுவர் ரெடினஸ். They're asking the second thing, aptitude, can it be learned? Okay, can it be learned now? How? Next question was why? How? Why it has to be learned? எதுக்கு? For civil service. The question is for civil service. Aptitude for civil service. How it can be learned? They are giving set of values. Integrity, impartiality, non-partisanship, objectivity. Let me tell you, the ஒவ்வொரு வேர்டுக்கும் you need to have your own meaning. Remember, don't run behind the definitions initially. முதல்ல இன்டெகிரிட்டினா என்ன? உங்களுடைய வேர்ட்ல. See, ethics, I believe that you guys have been read ethics before. But what empathy means? ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா சொல்லுங்க பார்க்கலாம். எம்பத்தினா ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா என்ன? உங்களோட புரிதல்ல. Yeah? Putting yourself in other shoes. Yes. சிம்பிளா என்னன்னா, you have to become a true actor. A true actor can reflect their emotions only when they become the character. You know, I don't remember the name of the actor. He actually cast an um, see, I don't remember. It's a very famous Hollywood movie, ma. Joker character ஒருத்தர் பண்ணார். No, ma. Charlie Chaplin. Yes? Yes, Phoenix. He locked himself for about 28 days in the hotel room. He put the makeup himself. And the character என்ன? He internalized it. அதுதான் true empathy. That's why யார் அதை empathize பண்ண முடியுமோ they do that expression well. புரியுதா உங்களுக்கு? So empathyனா என்னன்னா, you become the other. You not even trying to put your shoe. Of course, அதுதான் மீனிங். ஆனா உங்களோட அர்த்தத்துல என்ன தெரியுமா? நீங்க அடுத்தவங்களா மாற முடியுமா? Can that you feel the same emotions that they undergoing through. This is empathy. But what is compassion? Okay, empathy na என்னன்னா, like you becoming the other. In a ரொம்ப simple way, you see an affected person, can you become the other person? A true action ma, a true life action. Like a movie ல true actor நீங்க மாறுனீங்கன்னா அதுதான் empathy. இந்த அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் உங்களுக்கு இருக்கணும். I'm not looking at the definition. See, நம்ம கிளாஸுக்குள்ள போகுது. But you have to do this psychologically. Ethics is about making you a better person. Because sir would have told about a lot about this. முன்னாடியே சார் சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க. Because of a much prevailing of unethical practices and corrupt practices, there is a need to learn about it. Compassion என்ன? What is compassion? Yeah. Okay. Love to others. Okay. Any other understanding? நீங்க ரொம்ப once again, I'm not asking you for definition. I'm asking for your understanding. Compassion என்ன புரிஞ்சுது? Yes. Yes. Compassion சொன்னா உங்க மைண்ட்ல வர ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பிக்சர் யாரு சொல்லலாம்? ஆ, அதே பிக்சர் தான் வந்தது. மதர் தெரேசா. Or 2015 Chennai floods, the recent floods, we see compassion. Okay. எம்பத்திக்கும் கம்பேஷனுக்கு ஒரு சின்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்கு. எம்பத்தினா என்னன்னா, you become the other in an attempt to understand what they are going through. அதை ஃபீல் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறது எம்பத்தி. அதுக்கு தேவையானது என்ன செய்யணுமோ அதை செய்யறது கம்பேஷன். டு டூ வாட் இஸ் நெசசரி. அப்ப கம்பேஷன் எப்போ வரும்னா எம்பத்தி இல்லாம கம்பேஷன் வராது. இப்போ யாரோ ஒருத்தன் கஷ்டப்படுறாங்க. I seen this many times when people beg. அவங்க காசு கேட்பாங்க. நம்மளுக்கு என்ன தெரியுமா, நம்ம ஆட்டிட்யூட் அங்க வெளிய வரும். காசு தந்தா அவங்க போய் தம் அடிப்பாங்க. அவங்க போய் சரக்கு அடிப்பாங்க. அவங்க கஞ்சா போடுவாங்க. நான் உங்களுக்கு சாப்பாடு வாங்கி தரேன். திஸ் இஸ் சிம்பத்தி. அவங்களுக்கு காசு எதுக்கு வேணும்? மேபி மெடிசின் வாங்க கேட்கலாம். There might be different reason, but how our attitude plays it, I've seen with my own experiences, I've gone through that. அவங்க கேட்கறத தர மாட்டோம். நாம என்ன தரேன்னு நினைக்கிறோமோ அதுதான் அவங்களுக்கு தருவோம். You know, that is sympathy. பட் அவங்க பொசிஷன் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா, that is sympathy. பார்த்துட்டு அது sympathy. But when you act, that is compassion. So empathy இல்லாம compassion வராது. You need to have first, you need to feel what they want. Then you need to do what is needed and necessary. That is compassion. அதனால தான் இந்த ஆர்ம்சேர் கிரிட்டிக்ஸ் எல்லாமே to a more extent they come to the level of sympathy. Armchair critics இருக்காங்க இல்லையா? In the social media, they are sympathists. They are not empathists. And absolutely they are not compassionate. They are not compassionate. So, இந்த மாதிரி ஒவ்வொரு வேர்டுக்கும் what this simply means, you have to make a meaning out of this. Don't worry. நான் சொன்னேன் இல்லையா? இது எல்லாமே I prepared a document. உங்களுக்கு அது தந்திருக்கேன். So you can refer that. Don't worry. ஒருவேளை ஏதாவது மிஸ் ஆயிருந்ததுன்னா you have to do only for that. A question. Identify 10 essential values that are needed to be an effective public servant. Describe the ways and means to prevent non-ethical behavior in the public servants. 2021 question. State the 3 basic values, universal in nature, in the context of civil services and bring out their importance. அதாவது ஆப்டிடியூட்னா என்ன, வாட் ஆர் த ஃபவுண்டேஷனல் வேல்யூஸ் என்னன்னு புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டாலே இதெல்லாம் நீங்க படிக்க வேண்டியதில்லை. யூ டோன்ட் ஹேவ் டு ரீட் தட். Of course, I'm not giving you a very wrong strategy. Don't read for ethics. No, I'm not saying that. So, you have to do what I'm telling you. If everything is spoon-fed, okay, you become lethargic and intellectually lazy. நீங்க என்ன பண்ணணும்னா, இதே இப்ப நான் சொன்னேன் இல்லையா, try to do this for rest of the chapters. I will share this PDF with you. Absolutely, I will share this PDF with you, no problem. But you have to do this for the rest of that chapters. And the questions that have been asked. இந்த questions நான் எதுக்கு போட்டுருக்கேன்னா, that will give you an insight how UPSC looks at this chapter. ஓ, இந்த சாப்டர்ல இருந்து question எப்படி கேட்டிருக்காங்க. Let's say that emotional intelligence is the ability to make your emotions work. I told you, right? Aptitude on learning. For learning, it's like a story, ma. Ethics story, ethics movie. அடுத்தது என்ன லேர்ன் பண்ண முடியும். You are a person with a good aptitude. Next, அத பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணனும்னா you need emotional intelligence. If you're emotionally inert, all this aptitude, all these attitudes are useless. Can you be emotionally intelligent? So they're asking, emotional intelligence is the ability to make your emotions work for you instead of against you. Do you agree with this view? அப்போ இது எப்படி கேக்குறாங்கன்னா, it's about application in administration. Oh. What are the main components of emotional intelligence concepts? So in the area, the question have been asked. So you need to understand that what they are asking, what are the components of emotional intelligence? See, remember, we are not going to the subject, so I'm not going to give you answers. But I'm trying to giving a view of how the syllabus can be used to understand what kind of question can be asked. என்ன மாதிரியான கேள்விகள் கேட்கலாம்ன்றது சிலபஸ் பார்த்தா புரியும். So please do this for the rest of the chapters. Contributions of moral thinkers and philosophers. I will go through this. Public and civil service values and ethics in public administration. The questions asked in that. Probity in governance. The last chapter. Okay. Now the next. So we have discussed. The next is question paper format. How many questions are asked in ethics paper? Okay. Okay. Actually, until up to 2018, there were 14 questions. Okay, 14 questions. But now it has been reduced to 12 questions. 12. Okay, 12 questions, section A and section B. So 12 questions in two sections. That it is compulsory. 10 marks question 10. I'm sorry, 10 marks question 150 words, and 20 marks question 250 words. And the questions are two types. You all know about it: concept-related questions and case studies. This is how the questions are usually arrived at. Now, question paper format. Okay, question paper format when we see, in fact, of all the GS papers, ethics is the most variable component because um, when we take paper 3, there are certain questions which can be mapped to a particular part of the syllabus. For example, if it is question about food processing sector, most often exactly what is given in the syllabus question will be asked. But the question from development, the concept of development, it is something very interpretative. You cannot predict what kind of question they will ask. So that is what I'm calling it. என்னென்ன predictability, unpredictability என்ன சொல்றேன்னா, சிலபஸே இருக்கு. கொஸ்டின் கேட்கறாங்க. எங்கிருந்து கேட்கறாங்கன்ற ஒரு ஐடியாவே இல்லாதது தான் unpredictability. Predictability னா you have some idea. Oh, it is from here the question have been asked. இப்படி பார்க்கும்போது we will say ethics is the most unpredictable because the questions differ widely from year to year. It's like they're shooting in all directions. We'll never know where it goes. They're shooting in all directions. Very difficult to predict. So the only thing is familiarizing yourself with the syllabus and understanding the last previous year question paper. That is the only thing we have to do. Now, what are the themes? It has gone a lot of work behind this. So there is some purpose behind this. So please understand. இது என்னன்னா probity in governanceல என்னென்ன கொஸ்டின் கேட்டிருக்காங்க. I have listed out the questions that are asked from this topic, probity in governance. I will share all this with you. So many questions from this area. Okay. Now what I've done is all these areas I made it into a short format. என்னென்ன dimensionsல எல்லாம் probity in governance are being asked by. So for example, when we talk about this probity in governance, they're asking essential for effective system of governance and you understand நான் என்ன பண்ணிருக்கேன் புரியுதா? இது வரைக்கும் எத்தனை question, how many questions have been asked in probity, I have compiled it. அந்த questions ஓட short keywords எடுத்து I made a mind map. ஓ அப்ப என்ன சொல்லலாம்னா இத பார்க்கும்போது you will understand, so these are the different ways that this particular topic have been approached by UPSC. UPSC இது எப்படி அப்ரோச் அப்ப என்ன பாக்குறாங்கன்னா, there are certain things, certain trends you will understand, certain themes you will understand. For example, RTI. This is one question. RTI is not about citizens empowerment alone. Also redefines the concept of accountability. Question one. Second, misuse of RTI, media, and judicial activism. Misuse of RTI. That's another question. Third, Official Secrets Act is it considered to be an obstacle to RTA? The third question. So RTA now a theme forms. Okay, so this is a theme in this topic, probity in governance. Similarly, there is also another theme, corruption. Question one, question two, question three, three questions. But இதை விட்டுட்டா ப்ரோபிட்டில themes identify பண்ற கஷ்டம். These are the two themes. One, in RTA, there is a repetition of questions. Second, in corruption. Now you understand, oh, next time in my preparation, I have to have a much higher focus in these two areas. But later, if you see, they're asking social capital and how it enhances good governance. Social capital is nothing but networks. Social capital simply means networks. Sir, எங்கன்னு சார் கேட்டிருப்பாங்க? So why they have asked suddenly out of the blue? In fact, if you see second ARC report, there is an exclusive report on social capital. It's not based on some recent event or recent development. It's purely from second ARC report. இதுக்கு காரணம் நான் பின்னாடி சொல்லுவேன். இதோட purpose என்ன I'll say later. So social capital second. There are third what they say, preoccupation of an administrator with a periphery ignoring the core issue leads to travesty of justice. இந்த கொஸ்டின் எல்லாமே நீங்க படிக்க முடியாது. You cannot expect how this question will come. You all have to depend on your understanding and understanding of the question. You cannot do more than that. You can do for RTA, you can do for corruption, but not for other areas. Then discharging the duty while doing good, everything is permitted except expressly prohibited. நான் என்ன பண்ணிருக்கேன்னா, on the side I have given what are the uh, 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 what are the syllabus components from probity in governance. Probity in governance is the 7th unit. அந்த 7th யூனிட்ல சிலபஸ்ல என்ன இருக்குன்னு போட்டிருக்கேன். How this can be connected? For example, good governance and initiatives. எங்க கேட்டிருக்காங்க? It is from this. Second, discharging the duty while doing good. Everything is permitted except expressly prohibited. This is also philosophical basis. Distinguish between code of ethics and code of conduct. Reasons for underutilization and misutilization of public funds and their implications. Now you have an idea. Oh, this is a syllabus. These are the questions. என்ன கேக்குறாங்க? Reasons for underutilization and misutilization. அப்போ utilization of public funds the one of the common problem is diversion of public funds and the corruption involved in it. Question have been asked. So you can use it as a guide. Okay, so this is the area. It is in this area. These are the syllabus components, and this syllabus components is a trigger for these questions. This will give you clarity on how UPSC will frame questions from this areas. The next is ethical dilemmas, ethical concerns and dilemmas. In fact, this particular topic, ethical concerns and dilemmas, it actually comes in unit 6 of our ethics syllabus. இது தனி யூனிட் கிடையாது. Public service ethics ஒரு small subcomponent. This is most applicable in case studies. Even in case studies, they ask a question. Usually they ask you, what are the courses of action? Which is the best course of action according to இப்படி கேட்பாங்க. One kind of a question comes is ethical dilemma and ethical conflict. Right? This itself is a huge difference. இது எல்லாத்துக்குமே என்ன பண்ணுவோம்? Okay, honesty versus career progression இப்படி போடுவோம். But remember, I'm sorry, what are the ethical issues? What are the ethical dilemmas ன்னு கேட்பாங்க. நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுவோம்னா என்ன கொஸ்டின் வந்தாலும் இப்படி எழுதுவோம். But no, when they say ethical issue, it is not about one moral value in compete with another value. It's not a kind of a fight between good and the bad. It's no. Ethical dilemma ன்னு கேட்டா தான் உங்க ஆன்சர் எப்படி இருக்கணும். ஓ! இட் இஸ் one value in conflict with another value. Ethical issue ன்னு கேட்டேன்னா, you have to represent only one particular ethical issue. For example, um, miscarriage of justice, um, miscarriage of justice and violation of honesty. இது ethical issue. Ethical dilemma ன்னா என்ன தெரியுமா? Honesty versus friendship. இதுதான் ethical dilemma. நான் பொதுவா நெறைய ஆன்சர் பார்த்திருக்கேன். என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னா, எல்லாத்துக்குமே திஸ் வெர்சஸ் தட்ன்னு ஆன்சர் எழுதுறீங்க. நோ. If the question comes as ethical dilemma, only then present your answer like that. Ethical issue வந்ததுன்னா, என்ன ethical issue? Honesty jeopardize ஆகுதா? Is a violation of honesty. Okay. So the integrity is compromised. Okay. That. Is a public services code is violated. Okay. That. So this is actually mostly something that is used in case studies. But it also wants to test you how you arrive at a situation, how you arrive at a conclusion. நம்ம கேஸ் ஸ்டடி பார்க்கும்போது உள்ள ஒரு குழப்பிட்டு இவங்க அவங்க வச்சுட்டு இவங்க என்ன பண்ணாங்க அவங்க என்ன பண்ணாங்க என்ன கான்டெக்ட் we do that, right? You analyze the fact, you put the situation, you put the context, you put the specific ethical principles, then you have different course of actions and what is the best course of action, and then you have corrective measures for the consequences. Remember one thing, when you write case studies, you always have to be thinking from consequential perspective. You will choose a best course of action, right? Remember, best course of action is not always best. It is one best among the worst. Even the best course of action can bring negative consequences. உங்க கேஸ் ஸ்டடியில அதையும் அட்ரஸ் பண்ணி எழுதணும். That is will show how futuristic your thinking is. Okay, now because that will give you an awareness that what you are doing is not perfectly right. It is always gray. அப்ப அது கான்சிக்வென்சஸ் நீங்க அட்ரஸ் பண்ணணும் இல்லையா? நீங்க உங்களோட ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் அதுவும் your case study should also address that. Even your best course of action will bring some negative implications. You need to put in measure how to resolve that also. In addition, that is also called as immediate concerns and also long-term concerns. You ரெண்டுத்தையும் address பண்ணணும். Your best course of action has to something that has to resolve immediately. If there is a sexual harassment of a woman in your office, immediately அதை deal பண்ணணும். But long term, there are certain situations that enable that right. அதை address பண்ணணும். It has to be short term as well as long term measures. இந்த ரெண்டு விஷயம் மைண்ட்ல வச்சுக்கோங்க. Consequential thinking and short term and the long term measure. இது எல்லாமே கேஸ் ஸ்டடியில வரும். But UPSC wants to know how you think in the case studies. So they're asked questions. Two questions கேட்டிருக்காங்க. Besides domain knowledge, a public official needs innovativeness, creativity, and newness, and creativity of a higher order as well while resolving ethical dilemmas. Creativity in ethical dilemmas. பொதுவாகவே கேஸ் ஸ்டடிஸ் வந்துட்டாலே பொதுவா ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னா, they give you a very conflicting, a very challenging situation. What will you do? I will not do that. I will do that. ஒரு மிடில் பாத் ஒன்று சொல்லுவீங்க, அவ்வளவுதான். There is no creativity here. I will do that. I will not do that. It's a simple, obvious choices. But I will say, in case studies, you need to have at least 4 different course of action. பண்ணுவேன் பண்ண மாட்டேன் நடுவுல நிறைய இருக்கு. It is not like one jump I will do. You land there. I will do. இப்படி கிடையாது. நடுவுல there are a lot of small steps. இது எல்லாத்தையும் நீங்க பண்றதுக்கு you need creativity. You need creativity in arriving at ethical dilemmas. So I will say case study you need to have at least 4 course of action. Minimum 4. And do not abuse. I will go to social media. Nowadays people abuse that. If the person who is involved is a powerful person like CM or your senior bureaucrat, அவங்கள எதிர்க்க முடியாது இல்லையா? What is the usual course that we do? I will blow whistle. I will become a whistle blower. மீடியாக்கு கொண்டு போய் I will showcase to the people. அப்படி நினைப்பீங்க. No, you should not do. அது ஒரு கோர்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஆக்ஷனா இருக்கலாம். பட் நாம என்ன பண்ணிட்டோம்னா யூசுவலா அதை ரொம்ப டிபிக் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டோம்னா you should not do that always. It is like playing with a fire. So அது எந்த சிச்சுவேஷனுக்கு இருக்கோ அதுக்கு தான் யூஸ் பண்ணணும். You have to use it with caution because it's like playing with a fire. So the point என்ன சொல்றேன்னா your ethical case study should have at least 4 different course of action and that needs creativity. Creativity இல்ல அதை பண்ண முடியாது. You ask a question. You cannot solve a dilemma without creativity, ma. You cannot. It's not a mechanical resolution of a problem. ஒரு இன்ஜின்ல ப்ராப்ளம் வந்தா ரிசால்வ் பண்றது கிடையாது. It needs creativity. They ask that. எந்த அளவுக்கு creativity முக்கியம்? Of course, it needs creativity. Then explain the process of resolving ethical dilemmas. அதாவது நீங்க பிராக்டிகலா பண்ண கேஸ் ஸ்டடி தியரிட்டிக்கலா கொஸ்டின் கேக்குறாங்க. எப்படி பண்ணுவீங்க அப்படின்னு. So this is totally unexpected, but they asked a question also. Then another area. This is also not a complete unit, but a subcomponent of a unit. Laws, rules, regulations, and conscience as sources of ethical guidance. We are running out of time actually, so a little fast. So the question, four questions here, another five questions. I try to make a mind map of this. Laws, rules, regulations, and conscience. இது என்ன கருப்பாடு? Who is the black sheep? Laws, rules, regulations. டக்குனு கான்சியன்ஸ்ன்றாங்க. மனசாட்சி. கான்சியன்ஸ்னா என்னன்னா மனசாட்சி. In English, it is simply called as inner voice. Exactly, inner voice. The constant chatter that you will have, always going on. There is a funny quote to that. Conscience is the inner voice that you never listen to. அப்படின்னுவாங்க. நம்ம கேட்காத நமக்கு மட்டும் கேட்கிற ஒரு வாய்ஸ் நம்ம கேட்காம இருக்கிறது தான் கான்சியன்ஸ். உங்களுக்கு மட்டுமே கேட்கிற உங்க வாய்ஸ் அதை நீங்க கேட்காம இருக்கிறது தான் கான்சியன்ஸ்ன்றாங்க. So in laws, rules, and conscience, see how questions are framed. Um, distinguish between laws and rules. What is the role of ethics? See, for example, what they say, you need ethics in human interface, right? நம்ம அதான் பார்த்தோம். First chapter என்ன பார்த்தோம்? Ethics in human interface. How can we bring ethics? Not everyone is ethical. So you need to force being ethical. So you have laws, rules, conscience இருக்கு. இவங்க எல்லாமே என்ன பண்றாங்க? Ethics பண்றாங்க. They all try to bring ethics in public action. Now the question is, role of ethics in formulating them. So not only ethics is the end goal of these tools, how you can how you have to invoke ethics even while formulating these laws, rules, and conscience. End goal மட்டும் இல்ல, how ethics is important as a means also. A question on that. யூஸ்வலா நான் என்ன சொல்லுவேன்னா, இந்த மாதிரி சிலபஸ நீங்க உங்களோட ஓன் மைண்ட் மேப் போடுங்க. ஓகே, ப்ரோ கவர்னன்ஸ். டிஃபரண்ட் சாப்டர்ஸ் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க தெரியுமா? இது ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், திஸ் இஸ் தி சாப்டர், ரைட்? எத்திக்கல் கைடன்ஸ். எத்திக்கல் கைடன்ஸ், லாஸ், ரூல்ஸ் அண்ட் கான்ஷியன்ஸ். லாஸ் சிம்பிளா என்ன நோட் பண்ணுங்க. How laws help as ethical guide. How conscience can do as ethical guide. Then voice of conscience, crisis of conscience. Crisis of conscience, in fact, they asked twice. In the past, they have asked twice. Crisis of conscience, narrate one incident in your life and how you resolve the same. Crisis of conscience, how does it manifest itself in the public domain? So this is another area. So I'll share this with you. Please go through this. Then the next is corporate governance. This is also a subtopic. Three questions have been asked in this. So this is also like a theme. This is also a theme in this. Then ethical issues in international relations and funding, another subcomponent. Four questions have been asked in this ethics in international relations. இதெல்லாம் என்ன தரேன்னா, see, remember, we don't have much time, but I prepared this. You try to connect, okay, ethics in contemporary international aid. So they're asking how ethics play a role. Okay. Once you understand, oh, how ethics play a role, how that can be enhanced. Now build பண்றேன். I'm trying to build it. Okay, what is the role of international institutions in enabling ethics in international relations? You see that? So questions. The will to power can be tamed and guided by rationality and principles of moral duty in the context of international relations. Strength, peace, and security, pillars of international relations. இதெல்லாமே கொஸ்டின்ல கேட்டது. The keywords, I've taken that. Bilateral relations are governed by promoting one's own national interest without any regard for other nations. In fact, they say every nation is an individual சொல்லுவாங்க. They have their own personality, they have their own character. Every nation has their own character and individuality. So they become a person of its own. அப்ப இந்த இடத்துல என்னன்னா, how we become selfish. Certain times the nations also can become selfish, so that we forget the concerns of the other countries. That was the question. This leads to conflict and tension between the nations. How ethical consideration help resolve such tensions? Then comes the last one, aptitude and foundational values of civil service. This is where the most number of questions have came. Aptitude, our ability to learn. Most number of questions. I wanted to go through, but we don't have the time. From all these questions, I try to find it. இதுல நீங்க என்ன பார்க்கலாம்னா, இது பாத்தீங்களா தெரியும். The most repeated area என்ன கேக்குறாங்கன்னா, what they ask is 5 ethical traits to plot the performance of a civil servant. 10 essential values needed for an effective public servant. Impartiality and non-partisanship as indispensable qualities to make a successful civil servant. Next, positive attitude essential for a civil servant. Three basic values, universal in nature. Next, why impartiality and non-partisanship are foundational values in public service. அப்ப இந்த கொஸ்டின் இதுதான் syllabus component. So you have to ask why and how. And another aspect how the questions are repeated is they usually ask meaning of it, short notes. This is another way that questions are repeated. Another, write a short note on the following words, following terms. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு they give you constitutional morality, conflict of interest, probity in public life. அப்ப என்ன பண்ணணும்னா, ethics syllabusல இருக்கிற எல்லா word I also compiled that, don't worry. இந்த வேர்டோட meaning with an example you need to prepare. Because question can probably come. So one, what are the moral values that are required and obligated for a public servant? That one area is repeated often. And second, short notes, what the words mean to you. That's another area. And another area repetition came is in terms of conflict of interest. So நான் முன்னாடி செஞ்ச அதே விஷயத்தை try to map. Okay. Conflict of interest எதோட connect பண்ணலாம்னா it can be connected to integrity. Then constructing a dam in a mountain valley, there needs to be lot of displacements, there will be environmental damages. Rational policy in dealing with unforeseen contingencies, என்ன வரணும், compassion towards the weaker section, அதுல இருந்து லிங்க் பண்ணலாமா. So you try to link. I'll share this with you. You have your own notes. Okay, the question I've been asked for each one of this is the part of the syllabus which has been extensively covered by UPSC in our questions. Difference between bureaucratic attitude and democratic attitude, how to balance the both. Test of integrity. The question I've asked you, test of integrity, complete refusal to be compromised. So this is from this particular topic. Then emotional intelligence is another topic. Okay, I've compiled that also. Then public civil service values and ethics in public administration, the chapter 6. The questions from this chapter and the chapter component and what were the questions. So, நிறைய themes, there are certain areas which are often repeated. One. Second, they expect you to know the definition of these terms. Two. Three, differentiate பண்ணி கேக்குறாங்க. These three things are often repeated. Differentiate between this and that. For example, differentiate between law and ethics, ethical management and management of ethics, discrimination and preferential treatment, personal ethics and professional ethics, probity and integrity. கேட்கல, நான் சொல்றேன் உங்களுக்கு. Differentiate between probity and integrity. இந்த மாதிரி வரும். Because these are the themes. ஏன்னா இப்படிதான் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் டெஸ்ட் பண்ண முடியும். Okay, so this area I have compiled this for you. Then what are the source materials? Next, this is not usually a problem for you guys because நிறைய materials உங்களுக்கு இருக்கு. But the problem is you don't know how to make use of it. அதை எப்படி யூஸ் பண்ணணும்னு தெரியல, வெறுமனே படிக்கிறீங்க. தெரிஞ்ச மாதிரி இருக்கு. கொஸ்டின் வந்து எழுத முடியல. Okay. So what I will tell you is, no matter whether you read any other material, you need to have first basic material to be covered. The first is on a second year report, ethics in governance. This is the must-read report. There will be summaries available in the internet. Summary first part. Go through this report. It's almost about 150 pages. But you don't have to go through from back to back. You can do it, but pay attention to important recommendations what they provide, with some examples also they have given, so it will be extremely useful. In the second year படிச்சீங்கன்னா 3 units will be sufficiently covered. In fact, you can use it in any unit, but 3 முக்கியமான unit என்னன்னா, aptitude and foundation values, public service ethics, and probity in governance. The 3 chapters, the 3 units will be extensively covered in the second ARC. இதோட இன்னொரு என்னன்னா, you can also quote that this is something that you have written from second ARC, you quote பண்ணி answers. That's a double dhamaka. So this is the first primary reading, I'll tell you. Before you read anything, you first read. Then you need to be familiar with ethical principles and terminologies. அதாவது utilitarianism. What are the advantages and limitations of it? நம்ம utilitarianism தெரியும். அதோட limitations என்ன? What are the advantages, but what are the limitations? Deontology, duty ethics ன்னுவாங்க. What are the advantages and limitations? Virtue ethics, given by Aristotle. இந்த மாதிரி நீங்க இது போனீங்கன்னா லைனா போயிட்டே இருக்கும். But there are certain principles that are enough. Okay, you don't go and do search on your own. Okay, நீங்க பண்ணாதீங்க, because you are not a student of philosophy. Don't do that. மெட்டீரியல் என்ன இருக்கோ அதை மட்டும் கம்பைல் பண்ணி just familiarize with the principles. நீங்க சிலபஸ் எப்படி அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ண சொன்னோம்னா அதையே பண்ணுங்க. Plus this added one, advantages and limitations. And terminologies. Then there is also igno ethics in igno ethics PDF you get a document. It's also about 170 pages or something. இதுவும் back to back படிக்காதீங்க. Let's say decided today. Now first unit I did my homework. I break down the words, syllabus, and the terminologies. I made my own notes about it. Then you start reading. அப்ப அந்த சாப்டருக்கு எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் ரெலவென்ட் இருக்கோ அதை மட்டும் படிங்க. So never read a material from back to back. Okay, so in that way, igno ethics also can be easily downloaded. It's easily downloadable free content. You can go through for igno ethics also. இது மூணு first பண்ணுங்க. Anything else you do should come later. That is your choice. But these are the 3 fundamental things. Then what I had done is, whatever the questions that have been asked so far, sir, don't worry, I will share this as a PDF with you. இது வரைக்கும் questions from 2013 to 2023, what are the questions asked? And the questions இருக்க keyword, I made a terminology list. For example, accountability, acrimonious. நிறைய சமயம் என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா, what happened is, particularly for those with difficulty understanding English better, acrimonious ஒரு ஒரு question வந்துரும். என்னது acrimonious என்ன? Acrimonious is very hatred filled emotion. Hatred. இது புரியாத பொழுது you cannot understand the question. இது என்ன யூஸ் ஆகுது? Terminologies, let me tell you, it seems too lengthy, but let me tell you a strategy out. I will share with you. It almost over. A certain formatting is to be done, so it will be shared with you tomorrow. The Telegram channel, it will be shared. What you have to do is, the terminologies and this terms list, at least once or twice every day you have to once or twice. இந்த terminologies யூஸ் பண்ணும்போது 2 benefits will get. One benefit, இதுல நிறைய words are repeated in your question. So என்னன்னா, questions reading or understanding the UPSC question will be easy. Remember, not only this, even essay also uses this. essay நம்ம சூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். ஒரு வேர்டு தெரியாததுனால ஃபெமிலியர் டாபிக் சூஸ் பண்ணி பாதி எழுதும்போது தான் தெரியும், பாதி கிணத்துல நிப்போம். இந்த பக்கம் போறதா, அந்த பக்கம் போறதா, உள்ள விழுறதான்னு தெரியாது. Most of the times, ethics essay எழுதும்போது you commonly face this problem, because sometimes you misunderstand a particular word. So this will make you familiarize with the words used by UPSC. This is not something that is not I meant. This is entirely made from previous year UPSC questions. அது எடுத்துங்க. ஸோ என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா, 2 பெனிஃபிட் யூ வில் கெட். நீங்க போய் டிக்ஷனரி படிக்கிறீங்க. சும்மா அப்படியே படிங்க. அக்கவுண்டபிலிட்டி, ஆக்ரிமோனிஸ், ஆக்சுவல் அண்ட் பொட்டன்ஷியல் கான்ஃப்ளிக்ட் ஆஃப் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட், அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் இன்எஃபிஷியன்சி, அட்வர்சிட்டி, அக்காபிலிட்டி, அக்ரீவ், ஆங்கர், அனாமலிஸ். ஜஸ்ட் கோ த்ரூ. இதுதான் பிரிலிமினரி ஸ்டெப். மெட்டீரியல்ன்றது இங்க இருக்கு. யூ ஹேவ் டு ஹேவ் மெனி ஸ்டெப்ஸ் டு கவர் ரீச் த மெட்டீரியல். யூ கோ டு த மெட்டீரியல், தே ஆர் டாக்கிங் அபௌட் போனஃபைட் என்னன்னு தெரியாம நம்ம எப்படி அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ண முடியும்? So you have to be familiar with these terminologies. Two things I would like to repeat it. One, you can understand the question better. Secondly, remember, you don't have to be a Plato or Aristotle to write anything. You need to express yourself in a better way. The problem is that we most often find difficulty in using the right words in the right context. அந்த வேர்ட் உங்களுக்கு வராது. இது பண்ணும்போது your answer also will become more enriched. So this will also enrich your answers. புரியுதா? So the two benefits. One, understanding the question better, and also can get better answers. என்ன பண்ணணும் இத go through this regularly and try to use it when you write answers for ethics. இந்த words and then the contextல யூஸ் பண்ண பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணிட்டே இருங்க. By the time you get it. It's a huge list. அது வந்து huge list. Don't worry, I'll share with you. The last thing I want to share with you is what are the quotes. Remember, this is something which is extremely impossible to predict. எந்த போட்டி எந்த டைம்ல கேட்பாங்கன்னு தெரியாது. But there are certain reputations in the thinkers. அதனால I'm not doing work of an astrologer. I'm not an astrologer to predict இந்த கொஸ்டின் கேட்பாங்க. I'm giving you what would be the right way to be in a position where no matter what question you ask, you can answer. That is the intention of this course. Right? ஆனா இதுல பாத்தீங்கன்னா மகாத்மா காந்தி is often repeated. Okay. Second, Swami Vivekananda, another reputation that we get. Then Abdul Kalam sir. In fact, this particular question have been asked twice. Same quote have been asked twice. If a country is to be corruption free and becomes a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel that there are three key social members who can make a difference: father, mother, and the teacher. Attitude question, how the attitude can be changed, can be influenced. It's related to that. But it's asked in quotes. Dalai Lama, to give you an idea. Then other Indians. For example, the question that is from Jawaharlal Nehru, only one. What are the major teachings of Guru Nanak? Suppose இல்லன்னு எனக்கு தெரியுதுன்னா, what are the Indic religions? Hinduism, Buddhism, Indic religion சொல்றாங்க தெரியுமா? அவங்களோட basic philosophical teachings note பண்ணிடுங்க. You need to have your own note. For example, we'll say three jewels of Hinduism. Right content, right, right, right knowledge, right contact. Three jewels of Jainism, eightfold path of Buddhism, the dogma of middle path, the three jewels of Buddhism. Three jewels of Buddhism என்னன்னா புத்தா, தர்மா, இதுவும் ஆக்சுவலா மீனிங் இருக்கு. But we don't have the time to say about it now. Why they talk about Buddha first, then comes Dharma, then comes Sangha. So அதே மாதிரி Jainism. Similarly, from Indian religions. இது எல்லாமே நோட் பண்ணுங்க. And also there was even a question from Tirunelveli. I wanted to say a lot about it, but we don't have that. I didn't have the time. Falsehood takes the place of truth when it results in unblemished good. Uh, mm, in fact, it's a very famous Kuralma. பொய்மையும் வாய்மையிடத்து குறை தீர்த்த நன்மை பயக்கும். So here how the truth is qualified. Even when you say a lie, but that serves a common truth, that is not a lie at all. This is how ethics is approached. Correct? So இன்னொன்னு என்ன பார்க்கலாம் தெரியுமா? I'll give you another way. Particularly for those who are familiar with Tamil, even non-Tamil students also can do that. திருக்குறள்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய அறத்துப்பால்ல இருக்கக்கூடிய முக்கியமான ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஒழுக்கமுடைமை, ஓகே, அறங்கூறு, இந்த மாதிரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் இதுல திருக்குறளை நோட் பண்ணாதீங்க. அது சொல்ற மீனிங் நோட் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோங்க. That you can use it in case studies or even when you write. புரியுதா? இத வந்து திருக்குறள் நீங்க கோட் பண்ண வேணாம். You can use it as something. kind of your own statements, but you can refer from Tirupura. Possible you can do that. This is something only extra. But if you say you're absolutely Devya. But if you do a good repertoire of the concepts, then also Western philosophers have also been asked. Aristotle, Socrates have been asked twice. Then Napoleon, from Abraham Lincoln, Stewart, Eric Erickson, Warren Buffett, question have been asked from this. So this is about, okay. There are also other quotes, generic quotes asked in question paper. I also compile all them. Please go through all that. So we come to the end of the session. The end of the session என்னன்னா, the first thing, how you have to approach ethics paper. I wanted to tell you how you have to approach ethics paper. One. Second, how you have to make sure that the syllabus is also used as a material. Second. Three, how UPSC thinks ethics subject. You can understand it through the questions. So we did the analysis of the question. And then how to create extra value added material from the previous year question. One, terminologies, ethical concepts, not terminology, ethical concepts one, and ethical terminologies two. This document will be shared with you tomorrow in the PDF format, and that is what I wanted to convey to you. Remember this, ethics ke kandipa neenga notes edukano. You need to prepare your own notes on the lines of what I have told you. Ask these two important questions when you read any concept: why and your learning in ethics will be deepened. So you all have joined with much enthusiasm and participation. Thank you all for that. And we will do our best in the next 14 classes on what you have came for. Thank you all. All the best.